Okay, we're going to take a look at some conditions of a list. Going to be some if or conditional statements, call them conditional. And we're going to have some while loops, or you might know them better as loops. And we're going to recreate them in this open source software called Blockly, which is a quick little place where we can try some questions. And what I'm going to draw from, I'm going to swipe over here, is you'll notice here's a question, and it asks us, here's a list of values, okay? And it builds a loop or a while loop. So while going through this list, each of these variables is called a value. It's going to plug in the value. So for instance, 2 will be the first one to plug in, and 2 will go into all of these values. And when it is true, it will either print the number 2 or something else here. And if it's not true, because of our else statement, it'll print 0. Okay? This question can be a little confusing in Knowledge Hook here. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to jump over to Blockly here, and we're going to recreate the situation. So this is just putting the syntax with it. You can look at it as the block base. It looks a little different. I'll quickly walk us through the similarities in the question. This is my list here. So it looks a lot bigger in this block. In their list, they just kind of gave a quick list of values on the other page. I think they actually went from 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to use these values just so we don't duplicate the exact same thing that they've done. We're also, here's our conditional statements, the if. So if, and here's their values. This is like the relation, or the equation, sorry, I should say, that we're going to plug in and set equal to a value. And then the program would print something, in this case, that specific value. And remember, these are each of our values. These are the numbers in that list. Okay, so this program is going to go through each of these. And start with the number 4. It's going to plug in, and I'm going to decide which of these equations will be the first and which will be the second. You'll see it has that little puzzle piece there. That's where I can plug things into. And there's if, else if. So in other words, if this is not true, go to the next one. If that one's not true, then just print the number 0. So sometimes this question will tell you to do something like, I want you to print the values in this list. I want you to print specifically maybe the number 4 and the number 8. In other words, I want you to print 0 for everything else. Now I've drawn them horizontally. Let's clean it up a little. You know, 0, 0, 0, and an 8. And what I'm doing is I'm just relating it to when we plug in the number 4, we want something to be true here. So that prints out the number 4. When 5 goes in, we actually don't want anything to be true. So it's going to print out the number 0. Okay, so that would be untrue. This will be true. When 6 is plugged in, we don't want either of these to be true. We just want to print out the number 0. When 7's plugged in, we don't want either of these to be true. We just want to print out the number 0. And when 8 is plugged in, depending on which of these two, we want one of them. I should put an or. We don't want that to be true. Okay, so and it won't be, because essentially in our if statement, it'll never get to the else if one of the first two are true. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. A lot of times in the question, they may write it out like this: make the program output this value. Okay, we can do that. Let's get our program to output that value. So let's delete what we got here. I'm going to write that on above. 40008. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug these into those little puzzle piece sections. Okay. So I'll make the decision. I'll just go top one for the top and the bottom on the bottom. The page gets a little bigger here. So we can scroll over just a bit. There we go. Okay. So a little confusing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to clear it up a little by drawing on the side of the page. Okay. Essentially, what it's saying is value, which is the number that's going to plug in. Okay, and here's our equation. First of all, we're going to give it a new number. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing down here. But this part is kind of stagnant. We can't actually change that. I know in this program I can, but I've set it because in your knowledge hook question, if we jump back, you can't actually change this little equation. Let me click it there. You can't actually change this little equation here. You can change the equals, or what it is equal to, okay? So that's what we're going to manipulate on this side. So when 4 goes in, we're going to get 4 times 3, and if we know BEDMAS, that will be carried out before addition, plus 4 is going to equal some value. Whatever that value is, if it's true, it's going to print out that number 4 for us. So we actually have to solve this equation. So 4 times 3 is going to be 12, plus the number 4. That should give us 16. So in other words, I need to insert the number 16 here. Okay? There's a potential answer for us. Let's delete all this. Get our goal back up here on top. Okay, that works out. So when 4 goes through, this program will go to if, check out 4. It'll say, yeah, this equation's correct, and it's going to print out the number 4. And then it's not even going to run either of these two pieces. They won't run because it got to the first one and it checked out. And then it's just going to go right to the number 5, okay? So we got to make sure that the number 5 isn't true here. And that's going to be pretty simple to do. I mean, we can plug 5 in through this, but because essentially we have a linear equation, which means there's only one answer to it. If I plug 5 into here, 5 times 3 plus 4, that's going to be 15 plus 4 is 19. You know, the first one's going to be untrue. We've already actually catered or created this equation to be true for the number 4. We have one other option. Remember, the middle 3 we want to be not true, so they're not going to be true. We want 8 to be true. And our other equation where we can build that is here. So this equation says the value, which in this case will be 8 when it goes through, times the number 5 plus 2. What will it be equal to? I need to insert a value there. Well, 8 times 5 is 40, plus 2 is going to give us 42. So in order for the program to print out the number 8 when it runs through from the list, I need to plug the number 42 in here. So 42, okay? Let's delete all we have there. It gets a little confusing. What we're looking for again is 4008. Okay, so I've actually filled out all my code. I got my run button here. I'm going to play in a second. But essentially, we're going to run through the number 4. It's going to check out. It'll print 4. Then it should run through the number 5. It should be wrong, wrong, print 0, because the first two are wrong. Go through the number 6. It's going to be wrong, wrong, print out a 0. Go to the number 7. Wrong, wrong, print out the number 0. And then when it goes through 8, it's going to be wrong, but this is going to be right, so it'll then print out the number 8. Okay, let's check it out. Let's see if this works, what we've done. We'll hit play, and this is going to come up in Windows above. So there we go. First number printed was the number 4. Hit OK. Runs again. 0. That's good. We should have 3 in a row. 2, 3, and then 8. There we go. And our program finished because it got to the end of the list. Now, this same answer, I can change these the spaces here. So in other words, I mean, I could put the equation down here and the other equation up here. It's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It may look like a different answer, but it's exactly the same thing. I'll just have to change the puzzle piece answers, okay? The program will still run the exact same. It might be a little confusing. You might go, oh, well, wait. It won't get 4 off the very beginning, but it will. Because what will happen is when 4 runs through this one, 4 times 5 plus 2, we'll get 22. So that'll be wrong. So when it gets its first conditional or if statement, it goes wrong. But when it gets down here, that's the next step, right? Our program jumps to here. We'll get 4 times 3 plus 4, which will equal 16. Hey, that will check out. And that's fine because the program won't actually get to here. Once it checks out here, prints out my value 4, goes through 5, nothing, 6, nothing, 7, nothing, and then 8 on the very first equation will print out to be true, and it'll print out our 8. So we'll go 4008. Another way this could be done, okay, quickly clear this, is I could have actually produced this equation here to be true for the number 4. So maybe I want this to be true for 4. I want it to say 4 times 5. I'm going to solve for it. Plus 2, we just did this, is 22. Great. I'm going to change this number to 22. It'll then be true for 4. And then I just got to figure out what makes this true for the number 8. Well, for the number 8, that would be 8 times 3 plus 4 gives us 28. Amazing. I make this number 28, and the program will still produce the exact same output of 4008. Whoops, should be an extra 0 in there. With this list input, should be the exact same thing. So let me change those values really quickly to prove it to you. 22, 28. Let's run our program. We got 4008. Still worked. Amazing. Okay. So there's a multitude of answers here, but this is essentially it. And this is a good way of tying it into the programming, seeing how our inputs actually come out to those specific outputs.